All right. How's everybody feeling? Excellent. Well, it sounds like it's been a beautiful set of conversations, and I'm so excited to be here. And I want to invite up the two panelists who are going to be in the first part of our conversation tonight, Donlyn Gardner and Joe. All right, this is a conversation I've been looking forward to and thinking about for a really long time. We are going to talk about the relationship between climate change, climate disasters, and our ability to take care of the people that we love. Now, how many of you here are or have been caregivers for a loved one? Okay, so this is, I'm going to say it's about half or maybe more than half of this room. And if you haven't been a caregiver, you probably will be at some point very soon. This is an experience that we all share, and yet it's something that we don't talk about very much. It's one of the most profound experiences we have, but it's often really invisible in our public conversation. And there's nothing like a crisis to bring forward and focus our attention on what matters most. And the LA fires certainly were that kind of crisis. And I think if you live here, you experienced it in some kind of way, you know that one of the things that happened was all of a sudden so many of us became people who relied upon the care of others. And we also became people who provided care in new and different ways, in such a way that it helped us all become stronger, more resilient, and it helped us find hope in the midst of such a profound crisis. And so we're going to tap into that energy to see what we can learn about what it meant to come together and to take care of each other, to take care of the people we love, but also this community, this place that we love. And with me today are two caregivers who also survived the LA fires in different ways and cared through it all. So I'd love for you both to introduce yourselves. Donlyn, if you could say a little bit about who you are and your relationship to caregiving.
Sure. Hi, everyone. It's such a pleasure to be here. I'm so grateful and glad this conversation's happening. I, too, was awaiting it. My name is Donlyn Gardner. I am an actor, a storyteller, an activist, and I'm also a caregiver. My father is a bedbound, has end-stage Parkinson's, and I'm also a fire survivor. We lost our house in Altadena. My mom lost her house in Altadena as well, across the street from us. So I'm right at the intersection of this conversation.
And your mom.
My mom is here. My mom is here.
And you're in a sandwich because you also have...
I am in the sandwich generation. I have an almost 3-year-old son who was 2.5 at the time of the fires, and that is a very painful thing to think about, that he may remember all of this, maybe his first memories. But it's also been a profound time of exhaustion, and I think viewing care and climate, for me, viewing care and climate differently. In fact, viewing them as the same conversation.
Okay, we're going to come back to that in just a second. And Joe, you are a care worker. Tell us about your experience with care.
I'm sorry, everybody. I make sure that I have written all what I want to say and I want to tell you, so that I will not forget a single word, so that you will know. Good evening, Etienne. Good evening, everyone. My name is Josephine Biclar. I'm a caregiver for 14 years. Through Filipino Worker Center, I was an advocate in the sense of the workers' right and the equitable transformation of the home care industry for the past 8 years. So my really what really is coming into my mind is that I have to advocate, I have to do this, I have to go out, and I need to help everyone to be educated, because not all caregivers, care workers know their rights. So we have to go out and educate.
So important. We call care work the work that makes all other work possible.
Yeah.
And we've found that in times of crisis and disaster, caregivers are also first responders, even though we don't think of caregivers that way. And I'd love for you, Dawn, to share your experience of being a fire survivor and a caregiver, and how that experience changed how you see both climate disasters and care.
Yeah. Whew. So care defined, it was the bookend of my experience, it was the middle, it was the river running through my experience of the fires. And here's what I mean. I'll just tell the story of it.
Yes, please.
So we lived in Altadena. My mom lived across the street. She's been there for 20 years. We lived with her actually for 6 or 7. And then we're fortunate enough to be able to buy a property across the street when I was about 8 months pregnant, which is moving at 8 months pregnant. It's not my recommendation. And we lived there for 2.5 years, pretty blissfully. Altadena is a community that is distinct in that it's not like people who lived there who loved it in hindsight. It wasn't like, we knew how amazing it was. We loved it every day. We loved it very tangibly. It was hyper-local kind of community, very connected, a lot of care that took place in Altadena, a lot of caregivers actually in Altadena. And we were no different. My dad moved in with us when I was 8 months pregnant, and we spent the next 1.5 years caring for him. It defined my life. It was the most transformative experience outside of becoming a mother of my life. And care in general, it really changed my entire lens on our society and how we define who gets to belong in it. And I now really do define it by a society that where everyone gets to belong. It's a society where everyone gets the care that they need. That's it. That's really it for me. So I'll say all that to say that when the fires happened, I only knew because it was a father in the nanny share that we had. Our family was a part of, which is another care context. We were part of a nanny share, and there was 3 families, and another family, the father started texting everybody on the thread that we have to go, and I was completely in the dark. I was giving my son a bath. I was like, what are we talking about? And he said, we're evacuating, and you need to leave as soon as possible. My mom had been there for 20 years. We'd seen fires come down the hills before, twice. It never came down to the houses. I was just like, this is just one of those fires, and it's gonna be fine. And he happened to be a storyteller. He's an editor, film editor. He had edited a documentary on the Paradise Fire. And he said, Dawn, I need you to really get this. It's not just about that fire, it's at the conditions with the winds. It means that anything can happen at any time. Another fire can break out, or something can just land on your car and you can't leave. This is what we're talking about. This is the land that we're in. And it dislodged something from me. My plan was, I'll ride this out with my dad. I will park it and ride it out with my dad. And that got through. And we began to mobilize as quickly as possible. And when I tell you that if anything had been different that night, if any one person hadn't been available, he literally got his family out and then came over and said, I'm here to help get your dad out. That is how much care meant I survived. Because if he hadn't shown up, if my cousin hadn't been, it was just, and my cousin was living with us to help take care of my dad. every aspect of my being here, of my mom being here, of my kid being, was made possible because of care. So I say all that to say, I think in what we saw after the fires, the way that the mutual aid that was happening, the incredible empathy that was present, I think it was proof that we have something available that we maybe didn't know we had. We can make it real in a way that we didn't know we can, which is about taking care of each other. And that without that, I mean, for me, again, the climate crisis is actually a care conversation. If we're not talking about how are we taking care of humans, on some level, yes, I understand the just general deep need to take care of all aspects of life, and the planet is, we are deeply interconnected, but we're talking about suffering. We're talking about how do we get people the care that they need, right? And so I guess what I learned is that if we center this conversation, we have an opportunity in the crisis to transform how we think of who we are and who we can be. Yeah.
Ooh, beautiful. How we think of who we are and who we can be, and what it would look like to organize the future around what matters most. And the thing about care is that it is actually the only truly renewable resource. And it exists within us, and we all rely on it, and we have the capacity to give it and receive it in such a way that it makes us strong, it makes us resilient, and it makes us all better. And Naomi Klein has this phrase that she says, we need to move from a dig and gig economy to a care and repair economy. And I love that because it does help you reimagine the future and what everything from how we treat each other to our economy could look like, to the jobs for care workers. Now, Joe, you know that care workers have been undervalued and underestimated for all of time, right?
Right.
And yet, in COVID, we all learned that care workers are essential, right? What is it like for you as a care worker who is essential to this economy and to the lives and well-being of your clients, having to navigate disasters, knowing that you are a lifeline to people? What was it like after the fires to go to work and also have to balance your own health and well-being, knowing that we live in an economy that actually doesn't value it the way that it should be valued?
Yeah. On my part, during the fire, I was really affected with it. I am having a hard time to breathe at the same time doing work. And the thing that I have to keep going, like many care workers do, and but I don't have any option to take day off because I have to go on. Because my family is depending on what my income here as a caregiver. So I have to help them. I have to send them. Because I still have a lot of obligations for my family. So I have to go on. Even though what will happen to me, I have to go on. And at the same time, I am also supporting our community here. Yeah. We do share resources on wildfire relief and aid. We also volunteer to provide food and essentials to our community, checking in the vulnerable neighbors and community members, and speaking up about the urgent needs for the protection of the care workers who is like me. It was really a contrast because I have to balance the act between survival and my advocacy. Yeah, because it's really very hard. If you will not, if you don't know how to balance advocacy that you have on your mind, you cannot survive. Because these two, survival and then your advocacy, should go together. So that if because of what we're doing, it's going out, educating people, we have to be strong. To we have to educate them of what is the purpose of us being out, talking to them, and letting them know of what our purpose is.
I understand you were a part of a big victory where you helped a group of caregivers win back $250,000 in wages that they were owed for work that they did.
Yeah. I also did that because I really pity these caregivers, including myself, because I am also one of the caregiver of that company. Those caregivers are all afraid to talk. They are afraid to go out. And nobody will protect them because they don't know their rights. So through Filipino Worker Center, I stand for those caregivers. Filipino Worker Center helps a lot. And within 1 year time, we win the case.
That is the power of community and collective action,
Yes.
right? And I think it is time. We live in a country now where every day 10,000 of us turn 65 and we're living longer than ever, and 10,000 babies are born.
Yeah.
But we have very little in place to support caregiving. The cost of childcare is more than $10,000 per year on average. The cost of a room in a nursing home for an older person is over $100,000 on average. And the annual income of a home care worker, median income, is $22,000 per year. So the people we're counting on to care for us can hardly care for themselves or their own loved ones. So there's a lot of work that we have to do to ensure that we can care for each other in the future and the people that we love. I'm wondering, Dawn, in your experience, what would have better supported you, or what would support you as a family caregiver? You're caring for multiple generations at the same time. You're in the sandwich, the panini.
Big Mac.
Yeah, and there are literally tens of millions of us in that panini. What do we need to build to get to a caring future that's about care and repair?
So I feel like the first way that I think about that question is what's not here. And I think it was kind of unbelievably and heartbreakingly illustrated in the fires in terms of the people that didn't survive. Those were, on the whole, folks who were the most vulnerably in the elder population, in the disabled population. And I'll just tell this story. So Altadena and Pasadena, they're very tight communities. You really run into each other and see each other in places. And I took my car into the dealership to get a service or something, even though we were displaced an hour and a half away. I still went back to Pasadena to do it, and I saw someone there whom I'd not seen since before the fires. He worked there. And he's a black man. I knew that he had family in the Altadena area for generations, and I asked him, "Hey, how are you doing? I haven't seen you since the fire. How are you doing? Did you make it okay? Is your house okay?" And he said, "My house is okay, but I lost 2 members of my family." And I went, 2? And I realized he must be talking about one of the most publicized persons who died in the fires. He was a father who was disabled himself. His son had cerebral palsy, I think, and was unable to get out. And they had called family had called them and said, "We got to get you out. What can we do?" And they said, no, we already called for help. It's coming. They said they're an hour away. They said they're an hour. They said they're an hour away. By the time the family realized that, and the father realized that they weren't coming, it was just too late for the family to go in and get them. And that father stayed with that son. And for me, that story, everything about that story, including me finding this out from the service person working there at the car dealership, and looking into this man's eyes, right? And I really don't know how to sum it up. It's impossible for me to do it here. The enormity, the relentless enormity of what this experience has been as a survivor, the exhaustion, the all-consuming everydayness of the recovery process. But the grief is out of control. It's a grief that I don't know if I'll ever be able to describe accurately, but to look in this man's face and to see the grief not only of having lost family that they could have saved, trusted the system to show up, which is about care, right? When most of us never got a knock on our door, I didn't. It was the grief of going, I don't know what to do to fix that, to prevent that. It was the grief of me looking as a community member feeling like we failed. How could we let this happen? And there's something about centering this issue in a way that we can't look away. We have to solve it. To me, that is a storytelling, like it's a storytelling issue. We have to have stories that tell all the complexity of the experience. We have to understand that this is not something that happens in Altadena or the Palisades or in any other previous community, in just that community. It's any of us at any time. It is any of us at any time. That's the reality that we're living in now. And if we have it's any of us at any time mentality, then it's on us to save ourselves and each other. And I think that it is a radical shift. And Etienne is one of the most eloquent persons I've ever known that leads this conversation about care. And something you said like 13 years ago, it's still in my brain. And it's in my brain because I was feeling myself at the front of this, which is, you said there's a tidal wave coming. It's a tidal wave, it's a tsunami, the tsunami of a care crisis. And it's now here. The wave has crashed. It's going to continue to crash. And my fervent prayer in that tsunami is that what it will do, because the nature of the work is that humanizing, it's that intimate, it's that vulnerable. It requires to take care of each other's dignity and personhood. It forces a remembrance of your humanity. That is what I know I experienced. It changed my life. I hope that tidal wave, that's the opportunity in that crisis, is that it brings us to march and to demand that we solve it, to demand that we center it in our stories with each other, to make sure that our representatives are centering it in what they're advocating for and fighting for and lobbying for and demanding be funded. So for me, grief is so important as an activating truth that we all activated in terms of that mutual aid because of grief. We were grieving for each other. We were grieving for the fact that we're in this world now. And it's surreal. It's so freaking surreal to be on the front line of it as an activist, and to be I'm on the front line of it. The only way I could have this conversation is because I knew you would care for me in it. That's really what happened. It's like being in the multiverse. That's what I feel like. I literally feel every day I'm in the multiverse right now.
And the thing that I've learned from caregivers like you and like Joe is that we always have the ability to tap into our agency, no matter what the crisis or context is. It's like most of us actually become caregivers in a moment of crisis when we feel like we've lost all control over our realities. And yet we still find a way to care, to show up and take care of the people we love, to do what is required to support the humanity, the dignity, and the well-being of our community members, the people we love. And that undeniable agency that is within all of us is the hope. It's the fact that no matter what the crisis, no matter what comes our way, we will always have the ability to take care of each other. It's both the prayer, the aspiration, and it's the way. And I'd love for you to say just a few words, because care workers are the heart and soul, the foundation of our caregiving, our ability to care in this country. And what is your aspiration, your prayer, your hope for care workers, Joe?
My prayers for the care workers is that they should just be positive on their thinking, and if you are taking care of as an elder or a baby, as a care worker, you have to give love to whom you are taking care of. Never put in your mind that you are there because you are being paid. No matter whatever happens, they will pay you. You will just watch. The elder that you are taking care of. You will just watch the baby crawling on the floor. No, it is not that way. Just make sure. Give love to your patient.
And what is your hope for how our society treats care workers?
Nowadays, it's really very bad for the care workers.
But it could be different. What would we like it to be,
Yes.
right?
What we will do now is we should be going out together. We have to pursue what we have to be taken and to be given to us. Not that we will just stay quiet. We make sure, just tell yourself, okay, let's join the community. We will go out together so that not only us, but everybody who is working as a caregiver or care worker will benefit what they need to have. Because there is a saying, remember our logo, the NDWA logo? The logo says, the world stops without us, caregivers.
All right, that is our request of this room, that we come together to support each other in the care that we both provide and that we receive, to make care our future. Can we make that commitment to each other? Amazing. Please give a warm round of applause to Don Lien and to Joe Vicar. Okay, and now I have the exciting honor of introducing our next and final panel of speakers. And we have a different moderator for this final conversation. Our next moderator is Annalisa Moe. She's the Associate Director of Science and Policy, Water Quality of the Heal the Bay. Welcome, Annalisa.
Hi, everybody. Good evening, and thank you for sticking it out to the end here with us. First of all, I just want to say thank you so much to Don and Joe for sharing their experience here, allowing us all to learn and grow from their experiences. It's incredible to be able to hear from these folks, and really incredible that they came out and shared their story with all of us in this room here tonight. Again, my name is Annalisa. My pronouns are she, her, and I am the Associate Director of Science and Policy at Heal the Bay. We're an environmental nonprofit dedicated to making the surface water in the greater Los Angeles area safe, healthy, and clean for all those who use it, human and animal alike. Thank you. And I'm really, truly honored to moderate this really powerful second part of tonight's final panel. As someone who works in environmental advocacy, I've seen how impacts of the climate crisis, like the recent fires in Los Angeles, can expose our vulnerabilities. And our last panel really exposed a lot of those for us, understanding where we can grow, where we can do better in the future. It can also reveal our capacity to care and to connect and to act together. The way that people have shown up in the last 4 months is really incredible. At Heal the Bay, as soon as the fires hit, we got call after call of people asking, what can I do? I went to volunteer and they turned me away. There's too many people. What else can I do? And I think one thing that we can all learn from the stories that we're hearing tonight are those areas where, growth can happen. And, we want to explore that question with our next set of panelists of what would it look like if we all prioritize that spirit of abundance. Yes, in response to disasters, but also how we live, how we work, how we tell our stories on the day-to-day basis. Our incredible panelists who will be joining me here bring deep experience in storytelling, activism, and community care. So I want to bring everybody up so we can dive on in. Thank you all so much for joining us here this evening. My first question to this group is going to be to everybody, so maybe we'll start down with Nina and make our way back to me. But can you tell us a little bit about each of your work experiences, and if you have one on hand, an example of how you've seen people approaching things from the perspective of abundance?
Hi, everybody. Thank you very much for staying till the last panel. I appreciate it. And the messages that we heard before really hit home for me, too. And so I'm just kind of taking a minute to take that all in. And I think what you were asking is, so my work is I'm a climate and disaster resilience professional. It's a new title. It's something that really didn't exist even 5 years ago. There were people who worked on extreme weather, like scientists, first responders, obviously. But the ability to be able to react, take action, change your behavior even, comes with knowledge and education. When you're talking about resources, the resources are only valuable if people use them. The storytelling and everything that we are here today to talk about will only work if people go see it, right? Or stream it or consume it. So thinking about what is the appetite for that information is going to take a lot of mind spinning. I'm not an artist, I'm not a writer, I'm not in this industry at all, but I feel like listening to lived experiences and listening to stories is a good place to start. So when I talk about like the work that we do, I often refer to the most recent event, what we're doing. I'm fortunate right now. I work for a nonprofit that is funded at the moment for the work that I do. Maybe not in everything that we do, but at least my work. And so taking away the funding changes the whole paradigm. And the ability to care and the ability to be resilient means that, you know, we have to survive first. And we want to be in a position to be able to have that knowledge and information. It's not somebody else that's going to do it, just like our last panelist talked about, that we are responsible for ourselves and our families and our communities and our neighbors. So I wouldn't really say that the difference in resources before the disaster is just as important as the resources after. And I can talk about that a little bit more later.
Peace, y'all. When I say climate, y'all say justice. Climate.
Justice.
Climate.
Justice.
Climate.
Justice.
Right, y'all. I had to wake y'all up. What's up? What's up? My name's Etienne Maurice, and I'm the founder of WalkGood LA. Hey, come on, WalkGood family. It's beautiful. What up, Sean? What's up, man? Sit down. Sit down. WalkGood LA, we are a family. We are a nonprofit organization providing equitable healing spaces for underrepresented communities. We have a creative wellness studio in the heart of Mid-City, right on the corner of Pico and Norton. And our studio, we shut down during the fires. It was really an immediate, impulsive decision to make, but we realized that there was a community, there were communities that needed help, and it wouldn't be right for us. It wouldn't have been right for us to continue on like a whole neighborhood isn't burning down. Neighborhoods weren't burning down. And my family and I, we got together and we turned into a donation hub. And we weren't the only business that turned into a donation hub, but we were very intentional in making sure that our communities felt seen, heard, and supported. And through that, we had thousands of donations from people all over. People were sending us gift cards, and we were literally trying to figure out how best to serve these communities. And so I saw in real time everybody come together and want to help, want to care. But now we're, 6 months, 4 months. And it seems like people have just forgotten that people have lost complete homes. We just heard from Dawn, she feels as though she's living in this alternate universe. And in many ways, it feels like an alternate universe to just wake up and your house is no longer there. I don't know what that feeling is like, but as a human being, I can empathize. I could show care. I can show love. And so we did that at WalkGood for the first week, but we've realized in order to sustain this, not even this idea, but this action of care, we have to continue to show up. And the best way we were able to show up is to offer our wellness services at WalkGood for those who've been affected by the fires. So we have supported 50 families trying to get to 100. So if you know anybody that could use WalkGood services, whether it's a yoga class, whether it's a mindfulness workshop, whether it's just finding community where they could feel like they belong, please send them to WalkGood. We are doing the best we can. We're going to continue to show up the best we can, because I think the reality is a lot of us feel like our arms, our limbs have been stretched too thin. And I think when we talk about sustainable communities, we have to do the best we can. We can only do that if we invest in ourselves, if we invest in our well-being, if we remember to take a breath, if we remember to find community. Somebody talked about how algorithms are separating our communities. While that is true, there are communities out there. We just have to do a little bit extra work to find them. And WalkGood is a community that is here to be of service to those in need through mindfulness, through the arts, through abundance. And I want to pass it off to the one, the only, my mommy, Miss Sheryl Ralph, who you're probably wondering, well, what is she doing on this panel with her son? Well, this young lady was in the streets with me, directing traffic, when we had trucks and droves of people trying to figure out ways to help. And I remember somebody yelled, "Is that Sheryl Ralph?" Yes, and I want to preface this because I am who I am because my mom taught me how to advocate for people. So I would not be doing the work of WalkGood had I not seen it through the actions of my mother.
He's right. I think about my parents. I founded my nonprofit, Diva. We do much more than help broke down divas. Divinely inspired, victoriously alive, aware, awesome. If it was Sunday, we would be anointed. Diva. Founded it some 35 years ago around HIV and AIDS and caring for people who the whole world had turned their backs on. And I started it because I had to. We didn't have any money. We didn't even have any backing, but I had the passion, the purpose, and the little church girl in me said, we can do better than what we're doing. So when my son and my daughter and my niece look at me and say, because of what you did, this is what we're doing, that's legacy. That is the kind of legacy we can all be a part of. Purposely doing our best, purposely showing up as our best, purposely teaching our children what needs to be done so that they can carry on in their abundant life. And sometimes you can have an abundant life and not have a doggone thing.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
Except your joy. And to be joyful when you have nothing. To be joyful when you've been knocked down. Because trust me, people are being knocked down every day, right now. People are feeling lost. They're feeling depressed. They are feeling in need. And it's us that can help them with an abundance of spirit. And when I look at this grown man, I am proud to say, that's my child. I did that. Yes, I did.
That's right. It's a fact.
And if I can do it, so can you. But I was purposeful. Trust me, some of my friends, I took flack when I put my children on the public bus. They asked me what was wrong with me. I had to say, wait up. They're going to grow up in a world and they might not be able to get on a car.
The 21 bus right out there, up and down. I know exactly what bus it was.
They have to know how to make their way in the real world. 'Cause anything can happen. And you got to be able to function and get out there. They walked to school. Yeah. They walked to school. People thought I was crazy. Oh, yes, they did. But I look at him now and I'm saying, I did the right thing.
Amen to that. You know, when I was coming to the Hollywood Climate Summit, I did not know I was coming to church. That's right. But here we are. So I'm Etienne. I'm the Executive Director of Caring Across Generations and the President of the National Domestic Workers Alliance. And we're part of this growing movement that wants to change the way this country supports and values caregiving. And it is fundamentally abundant because the former First Lady Rosalind Carter once said there's only 4 kinds of people in the world. People who are caregivers or will be caregivers, and people who need care or will need care. And when I think about this country today, 105.6 million family caregivers, 9 million professional care workers like Joe across childcare and direct care, 33 million households with young children. That is a powerful force for change. If we all, just those of us who are caregiving right now in this moment, came together and with purpose decided that we were going to change the way this country treats and values caregiving, we would be unstoppable. We would be unstoppable. That feels abundant to me.
Yes, it is.
Thank you all so much. That was absolutely amazing. I do want to bring it back to Etienne really quick. We've heard so much about WalkGood as a nonprofit, the amazing work that you've done, healing through community. We've also heard a little bit from you about what it means to create that space on a day-to-day basis versus when we're facing a crisis like the fire that hit us. I'm curious if you can tell us a little bit about what this work has revealed in terms of how your work helped the community prepare in this moment or respond in this moment, and how others might be able to learn in future events.
It really showed me the power of social media. I think, so I want to give a big shout out to my partner in crime and justice, my brother Jay Peshwaria. He's out there. Raise your hand, Jay. Jay, you here? He's here somewhere. Okay, I don't see him. Oh, okay, no, I thought I saw him. Anyways, Jay and his brother Kavi, some brilliant minds that have helped me build WalkGood. Jay is my director of operations. Brother Kavi is really, really like smart and tech savvy and can see how algorithms can shift. I don't know how he does it, but he can do it. And he made a bulletin that gave resources to families who were in need. And while that information was changing rapidly, he also came from the healthcare field, working in the ER offices in the IE, and he was able to just list just the basic necessities if families were to be in the midst of a fire, where they can go, shelters that they could find, masks that would protect them. And he created this bulletin. We put it on WalkGood LA on our socials, and millions of people were sharing it. I knew we were doing something right when Tyler, the Creator, The Weeknd, and Kris Jenner were sharing it. But it made me realize that, we could continue using this bulletin platform to really inform families who are in need in real time. And so we were able to simultaneously use social media and alert families you could come to WalkGood and just find a place of peace in the midst of this chaos. And we were able to service families in real time through social media and IRL. And that just really showed me that it can't just be one or the other. You have to simultaneously just kind of work in the digital age through by any means necessary, but also offer a space of peace. I also want to add that, like, even through using our social media platforms, we were able to get the eyes of big corporations that wanted to support. And I want to give a big shout out to MasterCard, because they had this campaign centered around the Grammys, and they wanted to actually service community members who had been affected by the fires. And not only did they donate to WalkGood, but they also gave us 50 tickets to the Grammys, front row. And I thought to myself, well, do these families really need a night at the Grammys? And I realized these families did. Mm-hmm. These families needed a night of joy. Yeah. To be able to just take their mind off of the fact that they didn't have a home to go to. Families got to see Beyonce win a Grammy. They got to see some of their favorite artists. And I just remember just these families that we were able to support, just giving them the biggest hug, and just for them to hear them say, thank you, I appreciate you for this night, because I needed it. Mm-hmm. I needed a space to just find some joy in these moments of despair. And I think right now I want to continue to be able to offer that space of care by any means necessary with my platform.
Yeah. Amazing. Thank you so much, Etienne, for that work. And I also love the fact that Sheryl was out there with you, working in the streets. For those of you who don't know, Sheryl's also spent decades using, your voice on stage, on screen, doing advocacy work to uplift and champion community. Mm-hmm. Shout out to Abbott Elementary, and you worked there. That really just beautifully showcases the power of collective care. Yes. And resilience, especially in under-resourced settings.
That's right.
So, in today's climate, pun very much intended, but talking, socially, but, politically, environmentally, all of that, how do you see the role of community evolving in these spaces? And what lessons from your work, both on the advocacy side and on the side of arts, what do you feel is most important for us to turn to right now?
I think really what's important is, what do they say? Thinking about yourself, the me is the first law of survival, right? But we need to turn that M upside down, because the we must come together. The me is suffering. And the me has spent so much time by itself that they don't know how to reach out to ask for the help that they need. The we need to figure out how to come up out of the darkness, take a breath, and reach out to someone. We're having a very difficult time. And this time can make it so bad that we lose our power to save ourselves. People are becoming frightened. When you're frightened, sometimes you cannot move. I'm really happy that people are moved to turn on Abbott Elementary, to find some peace and happiness. But I need people to stand up, take a real good look at what is going on, find your strength to use your voice and purposely make a difference. And you see all of you in this room right here, you are the ones that can do it. Because you showed up for the climate. And that is very important. You've all seen those movies. You've seen them. Where it goes dark. People can't breathe. No sun. Food's not growing. That shit is real. You are the ones that can do it. Find the right tone in your voice. Talk to people. Let them know what's really going on. And tell my son to stop being mad at me because I compost and stick up the house.
That's right.
Just do it outside. Just do it outside. That's all I'm asking. Just do it outside.
Thank you, Sheryl.
I didn't think of that.
I'm going to bounce it over to Nina, who might have some advice for us on what can be done. Because you launched the Climate Resilience and Disaster Preparedness Program at CORE. So from your perspective, how does resiliency and preparedness intersect? And can you tell us more about why you started this program and why resilience is so tied to how we navigate the climate crisis moving forward?
Thank you. I'll start with the first question, which I can't, yeah. I don't remember. There was a bunch of them. I'm just going to say something. Okay. Yes. Okay. So you've heard a couple of stories, right? Lived experiences of the Palisades and Altadena fires, specifically Altadena. I am a Palisades fire survivor. I also have a very different story. My story is one of preparedness, is one of an evacuation plan, is one of my contact numbers written down, is one of a meetup spot, is one of do we have any neighbors or people around us who might need extra time if they don't know what's happening right now. I am a climate and disaster resilience professional. That title in and of itself says that I should know what to do, and I do. The important thing that I want to say tonight, and what everyone can carry with you, is not just this foundation of love, kindness, community, responsibility, but it is also of knowledge and to give ourselves grace. As Sheryl mentioned, this is huge. This is the biggest thing that we will ever face in our lives, and it will go on past us. So what we do today matters. And you can't start doing any of these other things if you don't have your own safety and your own security. So I would add, taking care of yourself and your family is the only way you're going to be able to take care of anyone else. Someone talked about the extra time. Because of my family and my preparedness, and I have my husband and my daughter here and a couple of colleagues, and they will tell you that mom made them do a wildfire drill at 2:30 in the morning. Yes, I did. And woke everybody up, told them what was going on, told them they had 15 minutes. 15 minutes. Now, I know they all had their go bags, but what else are you going to do in that 15 minutes? Get dressed? I don't know, brush your teeth? I don't know. There's a wildfire coming, right? We, even as professionals, I am a professional, I've been trained to do this. I have never lived through a wildfire before, now I have. My understanding of the importance of the information that is available to all of us for free, ready.gov, listos.org, which in Spanish means we're ready, get ready. All those resources are available at our disposal on Google. You can just type in preparedness and you will get everything under the sun. But there is still a huge swath of individuals who either don't get that information, don't want the information, or are being a little bit blissfully ignorant. I'm sorry to say that, but it is true. So the information that you get, you carry to someone else. Someone mentioned how the information was being passed on. Even in the time of fleeing our own fire in the Palisades and trying to figure out what life meant at that moment, I was still in my work mode. I wanted to do something, but I was incapacitated. I was sobbing. I was crying. I couldn't eat, but I wanted food. I was watching people come into the hotel that we were at in the middle of the night from the Hollywood fires, from the Altadena fires. We could see out of the 11th floor all 3 fires burning at the same time. Talk about apocalyptic. Talk about a visual burned in my head forever. One thing I also want to end with, because this is the Hollywood Climate Summit, there are storytellers here, I do have an idea.
Go for it.
And I did some research. So there was a sitcom called MASH. Do you guys remember MASH?
Yeah.
Yeah, and so that was what, I'm going to get this all wrong, dramedy, catastrophe, there's a certain genre, right? Dramedy, it's like drama, comedy?
Yes.
Dramedy, that's it, so it's a thing. How can we turn what's our lived experience and everyone's lived experience across the planet into something digestible, something consumable, something that doesn't feel like you're being lectured? It's not a documentary. It has humor. It has real life issues. You can introduce other things. MASH was an amazing show. I watched it when I was 10. I'm sure I didn't get all the jokes. But when thinking about what it was the Korean War, and they were set up, in their medical tents, and they were having their lives, right? They had boyfriends and girlfriends, and there were people dealing with identity. There was sickness, there was health, there was joy, there was death, there was sorrow. But we also learned along the way with them and how their community survived, what they did for each other in order to get through this thing that was constant, having to care for the wounded that were coming back from the Korean War. We are in our own war right now. It's not a war of we have to fight the planet, right? It's a war of inaction and a war of turning the ship to the right direction. And storytelling is important. Mm-hmm. And being here I feel so honored to be here because I don't know anything about this industry other than I live in LA. I think it's cool. I think Sheryl's really cool. Thank you. And my daughter says hi too. So yeah, that's really what if I leave you with nothing else, it's that we can do this together. Yes. Knock on your neighbor's door. Introduce yourself if you don't know them today.
That's right.
It's important.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Nina. A lot of stuff that we can all go home and do tomorrow as soon as we wake up. We are out of time, so if anybody needs to come drag me off stage, you're welcome to. But I need to get one more question in, if I can, for Etienne, because we can, tell climate stories. We can tell the stories from the perspective of care workers as well. And I'm just curious if there is maybe a specific narrative that you would love to see told on screen.
Well, I think I'll just say this, which is that for those of you who are in the storytelling business, as you know, human beings are emotional beings. And there is what is factually true, and there is what's emotionally true. And they're not the same. And they both shape our behaviors, our choices, our realities, our relationships, our communities. And most people who advocate on issues like climate change or caregiving, we deal in the factual, the data, the research, the numbers, the arguments. And what we're less good at, which is actually your superpower, is tapping into people's emotional lives and their emotional truths and entering into the unruly, unpredictable world of human emotion. And until we are able to connect at that heart level, right? A lot of people talk about changing hearts and minds. What we really end up doing is trying to change minds and not getting to the heart part. We have to get to the heart.
Yes.
And the only way to do it is together. That is your superpower. That is your superpower, madam.
Thank you.
And I think together we can tell care stories, we can tell climate stories from the heart that can change the world.
Amazing. Absolutely
Yes.
amazing. Well, again, thank you all so much for sticking with us. I also want to say a big thank you to our interpreters.
Thank you.
Can I end with a quick affirmation,
Oh,
a little breath? I know
please
we've been hearing a lot of heavy conversations, and we don't want to go to bed with all this heaviness on our hearts. Let's all stand up. All right. And I want you to gently close your eyes if you feel safe in this moment. Inhale through your nose. Exhale out of your mouth. Inhale, bring your arms up towards the sky. Yes. And exhale, let it all out. There you go. Now I want you to inhale, wrap your arms around your chest. Give yourself a nice big hug. The biggest hug you've given yourself all day, probably all year. There you go. I want you to inhale. I want you to exhale, still holding on to yourself. And I want you to repeat after me. I am safe. I am loved. I am worthy. I have purpose. I am somebody. Exhale, release. Have a good night, everybody. Walk good.
Thank you so much. What a beautiful ending. Tomorrow, as you're heading out, tomorrow is an incredible workshop day. I promise you will meet so many amazing people. So come back tomorrow during the day for the workshop. And then tomorrow night is our closing party. Whoop, whoop, raise the roof. Thank you for being here. Thank you, Etienne, for closing so beautiful. That is it. Here, you're somebody. You're loved. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful night. Hopefully we see you tomorrow for the workshop day. Truly amazing. If you want to just meet